Hello, I'd like to talk a bit about the reactions to the game and my reactions to them. Uh, well, I mean, there's certainly been a lot of positive reactions and a lot of people who really sort of get the game, and that's really validating, and I think we set out to do something special, and I think we succeeded. I think, Neverending Nightmares has a different feel and sort of a unique experience, well, it's very tense. And has mostly focuses on atmosphere, which is what we set out to do. But I found it interesting, just that, like, to me that was sort of the pinnacle of horror. Horror is sort of about the tension, and there's that Stephen King quote that I don't have handy, but I've said it a bunch of times in developer diaries. There's terror, there's horror, and then there's just the gross out and distinctions and blah blah blah. You can look up that developer diary. But to me, I think the jump scare is sort of not the best thing in horror, and so I felt like more people would appreciate the game. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I just thought that horror fans would really appreciate the tension and the lengths we went to create that. That hasn't always been the case. And I thought it was interesting, especially like Polygon's overview of Neverending Nightmare. Griffin talks about how he likes the jump scares because there's the release in tension, and Neverending Nightmares is kind of not what he... I don't know, he didn't quite come out and say it, but it definitely didn't seem like it was his type of horror game. Like, he likes horror games with jump scares, but he doesn't like the really thick tension, which I think is sort of interesting, because I had erroneously assumed that that was the most important thing, and people would look past the deliberately simplistic mechanics and the short runtime. I mean, it's definitely not a long game. I didn't set out to make a long game. I don't think I ever gave anyone the impression that the game was going to be long. But I mean, certainly we didn't quite get as many branches in as we had set out to do, but I mean, if I was looking, I was doing the designer notebook stuff, and I was looking, and the original plan was to have one playthrough be 45 to 60 minutes long, and then do, a bunch more branches, and I'm really glad we didn't end up doing that, because, another complaint is that, oh, the game's too short, but I don't want to play through the branches. Which I don't know... I mean, I think the branches were important to what I wanted to do in Neverending Nightmares, and I talked about this a lot, is that they point back to, the dreams and create the feeling of unreality, the fact that, nothing is real because the three endings are contradictory, which... if you only see one ending, then that's not quite the case. And certainly people are often, just encounter the most open-ended of the endings, and so then they think the game has no story. So, I mean, like, I was kind of expecting people to see the endings in the order that I developed them. but that, didn't turn out to be the case. But, moving forward on a future game, I'm not sure if I would want to go the same route with the branching narrative, because it was really hard to do. It was hard to sort of structure the game in that way and have things sort of build up to different things and have everything sort of work and fit together and tell, 3 stories at once. And then I'm not sure it was fully appreciated. I mean, especially because the game is short, and certainly it was short because an hour and a half to 2 hours is like a movie sort of duration. It's that level of tension, and I felt comfortable working within that constraint, in terms of tension and building it until it's painful, at the end. But, for future projects, maybe I would want to do something where it's a shorter, it's a longer experience with no branches. And I mean, certainly I felt like, to some extent we were addressing the complaint that the game was short with the idea that you have to go back and discover the secrets, like Super Mario World. Super Mario World is almost like, a perfect game in my mind. There's so many ways you can go back and do the branches. And I mean, even like Retrograde, if you played Challenge Mode, no one played Challenge Mode, but if you did play Challenge Mode, we had like a world map and warps and branches, and we structured the game sort of along the lines of Super Mario World, and I think it was really sort of a cool thing and worked out. Well, it worked out terribly because no one played it, but it would have been cool if people had played it, or, if people were interested in the game at all. Anyway, back to, Neverending Nightmares. So, I mean, I feel like I met my goals with designing the project, but I mean, the negative feedback has really caused me to take a step back and look at sort of what I had in mind for the next game, and question everything. I mean, certainly, there's no point in trying to go back and look at what maybe we could have done differently on Neverending Nightmares for the purposes of Neverending Nightmares, or just, for fun, because that's not fun at all. That's miserable. But I think, the next game that I wanted to make, it was sort of an iteration on the style of game that Neverending Nightmares was, and I mean, I don't want to give up what I feel like made Neverending Nightmares special, but I do think that, it would be nice to have a little bigger audience than Neverending Nightmares was able to get, at least thus far. And I mean, things may change. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say, and I can't complain too much, but I mean, will the sales of Neverending Nightmares fund, fully fund the development of, the next game that we want to make? No. Probably not. Will we turn to Kickstarter? Yeah, probably. Am I happy about doing another Kickstarter? I mean, yeah, I think so. As I've said many times, the Kickstarter is very helpful to me. But, I was hoping to be in a position where we wouldn't necessarily have to do a Kickstarter. We could set a lower budget. I mean, because we might, have to set a higher budget than on the Neverending Nightmares Kickstarter, because, we don't have the Free the Games Fund, which was very helpful and is very helpful. And I mean, we spent a lot of time on the art, but people complain, oh, the art was repeated, which was, somewhat deliberate, but I mean, it would have been nice to have a bigger art budget. So I mean, I don't know. We're probably looking at a larger Kickstarter goal, and I mean, hopefully we can meet that. Because I think, well, I hope everyone, had a good experience with Neverending Nightmares, participating in the Kickstarter. I mean, I know, not 100% of the backers are going to love the game, but I mean, a lot of them do, and a lot of them were totally on board with all the design decisions, leading up to the game, because I kept them in the loop, and I'd like to do that again, and hopefully we can get, a bigger backer community, which would be really super great. But I don't know, I mean, it's just, and I'll probably do a lot more developer diaries talking about sort of my thoughts on Neverending Nightmares, what we did right and wrong, but yeah, that's just a little first pass, little thoughts on the game. So thanks for watching.